Oh, g'day everyone, and welcome to a post-season edition of the Weekend Wrap. It's obviously the 2026 draft preview edition. The draft happening next week, and we've got a fair bit to talk about. So, without any further ado, let's crack straight in, shall we? Oh, look, and we've got a two-thirds of a full cohort. It took us a little while, but we got there in the end, and by God, Macca, I'm happy we did. How you going, mate? How you going? All right?
Uh, I've had an operation on my head at the moment, which is true,
That's
and I
annoying.
think they must have taken my brain out at the moment. So because I was having trouble operating this bloody thing, but no, they had unfortunately had a cancerous growth on my head, which had to be taken out. And I've
Oh,
still got
that's
the
no good.
bandages on my head, so I'll use that as my excuse.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And we have the large. Oh, I don't know, man. Big man, how you going?
Good mate. You said 2026 draft. I didn't realize we are going to the future here, but um,
Well, it's for the bloody 2026 year. Jesus.
no, I'll let it slide, mate. No, I'm excited, mate. This is always one of my favorite times of year, and fortunately, we don't have the presence this year that we've had in previous years, but there's still plenty to talk about.
Yes, there is. There's a bit going on, and sometimes it's a calm before the storm for these things. So who knows what might transpire going forward? But irrespective, I'm sure that over the course of the next 15 minutes, gentlemen, we will find we'll find
Yeah,
plenty to talk about.
at that, mate.
What's that?
I don't. 15 minutes.
Well, that's just me being optimistic. It
Very,
looks like
very
we've
optimistic.
got relay chat working tonight, which is fantastic. Absolutely amazing, actually. The technology on display here for two old farts and a bloke who won't show his face. Brownie isn't here tonight. He was in Renmark on the piss last night, so either he's found himself in a house of ill repute, or he's dead on the couch. So that's all right. He doesn't take a huge amount of interest in the draft anyway, so he probably would have bailed. But in any case, thanks to everyone who's joined us on Discord and on YouTube. As of course, if you want to have something to say on Discord on the live show, you can just put your hand up in the audience there, and we will get you on board. And if you want your comment highlighted on YouTube, of course, all you got to do is stick in a super chat, and away we'll go. And I am monitoring everything, so yeah, we're all good. Mac, what have you been up to apart from getting your head chopped up?
Well, just doing what I normally do, whatever that is. But for tonight's show, I did a bit of preparation, went through the listings, went through what we've got, then talk about what the picks we've got, and then what we possibly might have, and various other things. But I think that's a great place to start is probably talk about the delisting first, and then what
Well,
we've already brought in and hope to bring in.
well, considering you were 20 minutes late, you don't get to be showrunner. And the first thing we'll probably talk about before, just saying,
Okay,
just saying.
just saying.
I thought we'd just quickly cover off the fixture first. That's an easy one to ease us back into the conversational mode that we like to be in.
Yeah.
And it was, you can't really call it a fixture anymore, or a program,
Well,
a bloody a
no, it is a
series of
fixture. It's
games.
not a program. It's a fixture. That means that doesn't mean anything. It's just
Yeah.
program means it, and it's not a program. So it's a fixture.
No. Yeah, definitely. So, We will have a look at that first, I think. Let me just bring that up. And I think this was the one done by the club. So, yeah. Strange old fixture. Ours, big man, what do you think? I didn't think ours was too bad in the end.
Yeah, it's there are some elements to it that are very tricky. Overall, it could have been worse, but it is hard. I think the standout difficulty thing is the beginning of the draw. First month or so is pretty rough. We don't get a home game at the start. Neither team did, which is strange from Adelaide. And then and the 4 teams we play in the first 4 rounds were all top 9 teams, including a grand finalist.
Yeah.
Then it eases off a bit, gets a bit harder, eases off a bit. So once we get past that first month, it's pretty standard, I think. But yeah, it's definitely like put it this way: we don't have the soft start that we did last year to get us going. We have to earn our early wins. But the double ups themselves aren't too bad actually. We got Richmond twice, which is nice. And we didn't. I don't think we got Hawthorn twice, which is good because we're a bit of a bunny team for us, unfortunately. Yeah, overall, look, it could have been worse. It could have been a lot better, as some other teams did, like North and Port. But that's what happens when you win as many games as we did last year. So,
yeah, what do you think, mate?
Well, sort of disagree a little bit. Ours is actually rated the 6th hardest fixture of the lot. We play twice. We play Geelong, Collingwood, Freo, Bulldogs, Port, and Richmond is the only one you could say that is a lay down misère that we would win. All the others are pretty tough. And in our first 4, there's pretty rotten. Collingwood, Bulldog, Geelong, Freo. There's no gimmies anywhere there. We did get treated pretty well in terms of TV exposure. We've got 5 Thursday nights and 3 Friday nights, although one of them, unfortunately, is a showdown. I mean, I think this is just typical AFL.
BFL. Yeah. The 5-day break.
We on a Friday. No, it's not that. We've got the showdown, and they're going to run a Victorian match at the same time.
Oh yeah, yeah. They can't help themselves, Macca.
Yeah,
I don't know why they insist on doing
it's the same
that.
with
Really
what
don't.
they. No, it's just it's ignorant. It's ignorant. It actually is rude to the South Australian teams. On top of that, with the opening round, just pardon me, and I have to swear here. How the fuck can Collingwood be part of the opening round when they're not playing in a northern state? The opening round was allegedly to create interest in the teams in the northern states. And Collingwood's playing. And they're playing at home. How can that be? I mean, it's just...
In an away
I don't
match.
think there's been enough said. Yeah, they go to Marvel. I mean, I just cannot believe that. I mean, it's just rude. It's ignorant. So South Australia and West Australia won't be playing, but the Vics will have something to watch. One of their Victorian teams, or 2 Victorian teams. It's just rude. It's rude. I think they're just an ignorant, biased mob who just... Now, I mean, with this guy who's running them now, I mean, he's a peanut. Absolute peanut. And I don't
Well, at this stage,
got
you'd have to
no
say,
time for him whatsoever.
at this stage, you'd have to say he's
Look,
shaping up as being the worst AFL CEO we've ever had.
I have to disagree. He's already proven it, Fiend. He's not shaping up. He's proven it. He's got no idea whatsoever about tact, about logic, about fairness. I mean, Bailey Smith, that whole business with Bailey Smith. I mean, if that had been an Adelaide player, we would have been done for life. Done for life. Well, I mean, it's just an absolutely biased competition, and this guy makes no bones about it. But no, coming back to the absolute fixture, I think we're in for a hard start. If we could win out of those 4 first games, if we win 3 of those first 4 games, I think we're in for a good week, a good year. Sorry, but it's not impossible for us to actually lose the first 4.
Well,
You got to win those home games, Macca.
Yeah, look, I
I
honestly
understand
think,
but there's no.
I honestly think that this is what we need to start expecting. There's no easy ride for a team that finished top in the minor round last season. And I don't think there's anything to complain about this draw. And if we're good enough, it won't be a problem.
I know one thing, Fiend, is that the 5-day break going from the Brisbane game away into a showdown, that's poor.
Yeah, not fair.
Not ideal.
Not fair.
Not ideal.
That reeks of that gather round last year. Hopefully, it's not a similar situation where we just come out flat. So,
Well, I mean, we just
I
have
don't know what. And
we have
also
to manage these situations.
I'll also chuck in. I don't know what, because the Hawthorn night game in the middle of the year worked so well this year that they're doing it again next year in the dew and how slippery it was. So I don't know why they thought that was a good idea to replicate that again.
Well, they're probably just
so I'll
pushing
chuck
the
that in.
agenda. They're probably just pushing the agenda for Tasmania to agree to a roof stadium. They're probably hoping for a shit show, a wet game, 2 goals to 1, to convince the Tassie government to bloody put a roof on their bloody thing.
Probably right.
Yeah, that last game was a great. That was a great recommendation.
Yeah, I've just got up here the who we played twice. I've got it for all the teams, but focus on us. So we've got Collingwood, Freo, Cats, Port, Richmond, and the Bulldogs. So only one bottom 4. What do they split it into? 6. So we only got one bottom 6 side. We get Port Adelaide twice every year, so that doesn't really count. And then we've got the Bulldogs in the middle 6, and then we've got obviously the Cats and Freo and Collingwood in the top 6. But like I said, it doesn't bother me. I just think that we're top. We want to be a top side. We are a top side, based on last year's standings, and we just have to deal with it. If we're good enough, we win these games. So it shouldn't be a problem, as far as I'm concerned.
No, I wasn't disagreeing with our particular thing. I was just a bias towards Collingwood's the main thing. The stupid opening round thing as well.
Yeah, but I mean, we give you a lot of leeway, Macca, as a senior citizen. I think Collingwood this year are the senior citizens of the AFL, so we've got to give them a bit of a wheelchair ramp as well. So, I'm not too fussed about it.
In terms of those double ups, Fiend, it'll be interesting. Like, if I thought to myself, okay, what are the worst teams to get double ups next year? I would definitely have Geelong in there. So that's unfortunate for us. And not just because Geelong are good, but because it means you have to play them in the cow paddock.
Yep.
And then I would say Brisbane as well, because I think they're obviously going to be fantastic. Beyond that, I mean, the other teams I'd probably think Freo's a tough one because you have to play the way in Perth. Really tough, and we struggle there. But Gold Coast would be there. We don't have them twice. We don't have Brisbane twice. We don't have Sydney twice, who I think are a dark horse to be back to being a pretty good team next year. So I think it could have been worse. Like the Bulldogs, for instance, we've been saying the Bulldogs should be good for the last 3 years, and it just doesn't happen. So, and we have a pretty good recent record against them. So, and we don't play them in Ballarat again next year either. So, I don't think that's a terrible double up either.
No.
So I don't. As I said, I think we could have done worse with the double ups. I think the fixture itself is hard, particularly at the beginning, but the double ups are okay for where we finish. It's okay.
Yep, I agree with that. I don't think there's any problems at all. We've got to stop pretending that we need some sort of an easy draw to do any good. And I have no problems at all with what's happening with the draw at all, to be honest. Probably the only gripe that I probably have with the fixture in general, apart from the usual match fixing bias that the AFL put in, is how limp the gather round is this season. It is as limp as anything. Have you seen the gather round?
What do you mean in the matchups, Spain?
The actual games
No, I haven't.
are terrible. The games are terrible. So let me just bring it up.
I don't know. I don't know why they insist on this Melbourne Essendon game every year. Those teams suck, and no one likes watching them at Adelaide Oval. They've done it again. I don't know why they keep doing it.
So the fixture for Gather Round, let me just see if I can...
And Brisbane got shafted too.
You just keep talking amongst yourselves for a second.
Well, I think it's a good result for us, Macca, because Carlton are one of our buddies these days. So the open with them should be finally we win. You'd like to think we're winning an opening night and gather round finally since the first one, which was actually Carlton.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I love playing against Carlton. We beat Carlton, and I think from that point of view, we definitely should be happy because you want in the gather round and being the host, you really want to be a winner. So yeah, we're doing well. Brisbane got shafted, absolutely shafted. They did.
Yeah. In the Barossa
Well, they played
against North. I feel sorry for North too. Like that's a brutal matchup as it is, but
it's just I have no faith in this peanut that's running the competition now. I mean, he's a poor imitation of a man, of a boss.
Look, his public speaking persona isn't the greatest. Is it? He doesn't come across as particularly authoritative or, knows what he's doing.
No.
Well, there's Gather Round up on the screen. It's Adelaide versus Carlton on a Thursday night. Then Collingwood Freo, probably the match of the round on a Friday night. Then we've got North v Brisbane in the Barossa. We've got the Bombers v Melbourne at Adelaide Oval. We've got the Swans and the Suns at Norwood, which is probably the other decent one. Hawthorn Bulldogs, Geelong West Coast, Giants Richmond, Port St Kilda. It's the softest gather round ever, in my opinion, and I just don't know. Although I kind of do understand because I reckon what's happening is that they want to move it. I reckon
it was pretty bad this year too, Fiend. If you look at this year's fixture we had, it was pretty similarly dull. I think it's more that they know people are going to attend because everyone's over in Adelaide, so they can just chuck any games and people are going to go.
Yeah, but don't you want to support your marquee round? Jesus, honestly.
Oh, yeah, they should have been at least one or two more good matchups.
They just don't have the brains to. They really don't.
Yeah, I don't
you'd run it better than they do.
Well, I think my cat that I don't even own would probably run it better. But anyway. All right. So, look, the bottom line for me with the fixture is that it's daunting, but something that we should have expected given our standing, and certainly not something that we should be using as any sort of crutch. I think the other thing too, from my point of view, that's good is that we will know where Matthew Nick stands by the bye. There's enough solid games there that we will have a good picture of where we stand as a team and where Matthew stands in terms of his any changes he's made to the game plan by the time we get to round 12. Now, there's talk about him getting re-signed.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up.
Yeah, talk about him getting re-signed.
Is that after his extension, Fiend?
Well, I mean, if they extend him, they've only got themselves to blame.
Surely common sense says you wait.
I don't get it, Mac. I don't understand what the rush is. Like, no one's going to poach him. I don't understand why we're so eager to get something underway in terms of an extension. I don't get it.
Look, I totally agree. From my point of view, if you were thinking about a renewal of a contract, I would want to see him win a final before we actually sign him up. That's how far I would take it. I'd take the risk. If he wants to go and he goes, so be it. But I would not sign him up during the normal season. We finished minor premiers and we were limp in the finals. I'd like to see us make the final and win a final before I'd sign him.
I just don't think that's going to happen.
I probably won't, but I'm just saying that common sense says you should do that.
He's coming to his 7th year, Fiend. We gave Sando 3 years. Sando made a prelim at least.
I
Like,
know.
7 years is a long time to be a head coach and not win a flag or even make a grand final or anything. So,
Yes.
yeah. I'll save my frustration for if it actually happens, but I was a bit unnerved by those comments. Put it that way.
Well, I kind of hoped and thought that Olsen had a bit of brains in his head and would think, all right, well, there's no rush. And then I heard what I heard last week, and I thought, wow, let's cook that goose. Look, if they re-sign him, they re-sign him. There's not much to be said about that. It's one of those things where what's going on here? Where I guess it'll be what it'll be, right?
All it means is Murray Davis is going to have to give him more side tips, which he seemed to do during the season. So, yeah, I think, as I said, you got to. I think when you're a AFL coach, you have to earn the right to renewal. And from my point of view, and I think Big Man summed it up very well. He hasn't won a final. He's got to at least win a final.
Yeah, I think that's a precursor. To be honest with you, for mine, he's not done anything, and we were starting to, remember last year we were trying to justify it by saying, maybe we're training hard or that sort of stuff, and it turned out we just got found out. It was as simple as that. We just got found out towards the back end of the season, and
we did.
He's going to have to make some changes. And if he doesn't make changes, then we're going to struggle to... Well, we'll make a final because the AFL now just extended it by another 2. So now we're doing a wild card. So you'd imagine that if we don't make the top 10, we're in strife. But even so... and that's another thing I wanted to talk about.
Yep.
But even so... it's one of those situations where what the hell's going on here? One of those situations where the Adelaide Crows might again just decide that they know best and we don't know shit.
Well, that's worked well for the last 25 years. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, history shows I've made so many coaching appointment errors, and so they'll probably re-sign him without waiting for him to prove anything.
Well, they'll do so at their own peril because no one's ringing his phone, are they? It's not as if people are bloody lining up to get him over. So we're not in any not in any sort of pressure at all about his tenure. Sorry, I'm just trying to fix the chat here. I don't know what the hell's going on, but whatever. So I don't know what the rush is. I don't think there's any... The only pressure on him at the moment is the pressure of actually performing, doing his job, right? That's the only pressure there is at the moment. And I don't understand why they need to be so quick to sign him on. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, look, it's beyond me. Totally beyond me.
Well, they'll probably use the word stability or something like that. But in terms of coaching, like contracts, stability is overrated. It doesn't mean anything. Coaches will still get sacked a year after they re-sign. Like we did it with Sando, we did it with Don Pike. Other clubs do it too. Like it doesn't. They'll say, quietens the noise a bit. It doesn't quieten it at all. It just changes
there's no noise
narrative. You go from are they going to resign him to why did they resign him?
Yeah, the stability is not a word to use because if you look at your footy team each week, the team, there's no stability there. Those players have to earn their positions every week, don't they? They have to. Then you can't say, well, we're going to have the same team every week, even though we're losing for stability. And the same applies to the bloody coach. If you want to be the coach for a long term, you got to be good, and you got to earn it. And he hasn't earned it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so look, that would be disappointing. But even so, even if they do sign him, I think the first 12 rounds are going to sort him out. And it, to me, he should, as Jad says in the chat, if he doesn't meet the KPIs, he'll get moved on. But it'll be a lot more expensive for us to move him on if we actually sign him on for a couple more years. But anyway,
Exactly.
any other comments about the fixtures, boys?
No.
Have you seen Ports?
Oh, I don't want to talk about Port. I don't care about Port.
No, I'm sorry, but they got to give the easiest start to any season you could ever imagine. They essentially play the bottom 4 teams next year, the first 4 games. It's unbelievable, thing. It's the easiest draw I've ever seen, like in terms of a start to it.
Well,
It is. It is. I agree.
Good luck to them. They'll enjoy that. Well, I'm making
diplomatic thing.
Well, I just couldn't give a rat's ass about Port Adelaide, to be honest with you. Like,
I know. I'm just saying. Get ready.
They'll do whatever they're going to do. Look, there's always been situations where clubs have got the rough end of the stick or the good end of the stick. You could argue a couple of years ago we got a very easy draw that nearly gave us a final spot, and probably maybe inflated our position as a consequence. If Port get an easy draw and it inflates their position and then they get towed up in a final or whatever, that it all comes out in the wash. The best team generally wins a grand final.
That is true.
All right, I've just got up on the screen here the 2025 AFL draft pick position or pick order, I guess, as it is right now. So the table that's up there at the moment, look at the right-hand side column because that's the picks after the 2025 trades have happened to date. So, and priority picks and compensation picks and whatever the hell else picks. So we've got 1 and 2 with West Coast, and then 3 and 4 with Richmond, and then Essendon 5 and 6, Melbourne 7 and 8, Carlton 9, Hawthorn 10, Carlton 11, Giants 12, West Coast 13, so 3 inside the top 15. The Bulldogs, Gold Coast, and then Adelaide first pick at number 16. Gentlemen, it could all be over by pick 16, I reckon. What do you think?
Well, we got 16, 40, 48, 55, 64. 64 would definitely has to be
61.
put aside because that's for the PSD.
61.
Okay, sorry. The list I had took it off said 64. You might have a later one.
Got 64.
Anyhow, 16. Right. Anyhow, so the one in the 60s, that goes to the side because they've got that for the PSD. That really leaves us on the night with a choice of 16, 48 and 55. And I would not be surprised if we used 55 to upgrade a rookie to create an extra rookie spot. We did say we'd redraft Welsh as a rookie, but that means we'd be totally done in the rookie area. So if we use 55 to upgrade a rookie, then we've got a situation where we would then have, and after we use the PSD, then we'll be full up, and we would actually then have 2 rookie spots, one for Welsh and one for the mid-season draft if somebody bobs up that's pretty good. So I'm thinking that we probably won't use 55, and so that really leaves us back to 16 and 48. And I wouldn't mind betting they would try and use 16 and 48 to maybe move up a position or 2. That's the best they could probably hope for, because the type of player they're after, I mean, they'd love. I mean, you'd love to have the 2 boys from South Australia, the real gun ones, Sharp and Cumming, but they're not going to get near them. They just can't get near them. So I think they'll either go with the 16 and 48 separately, or they might use those 2 combined to try and get up to 14 or something like that. So I'm thinking it'll be 1 or 2 picks, full stop.
Well, Mako, I'm not sure whether I 100% agree with you because there's always we can trade into future rounds, so there's definitely opportunities for us to get up the draft order.
Oh, we can get up the draft order, but we can't. But the point is, there's not all that much point in it if you can't get Sharp or Cumming.
Well, that's
Because
right, but I'm saying we'll have a look at the draft order in a minute. Well, the projected draft and some phantoms, and I'm sure Big Man's all over it, and we've got a few people in the chat as well. But there was talk, I think, was there talk about getting hold of Carlton's pick 9? I heard, or maybe
there
pick
was.
11?
Well, depends which paper you read. Some say 9, some say 11. But the whole point is using our future first to do that, along with our pick 16. But I think that was on the basis that we might have a chance to get Sharper coming, but then as the draft, the phantom drafts come out, and you can see that, and they're pretty good, the phantom drafts from the AFL. To me, they're very good. And he's actually saying there's not a chance of getting those two boys, even if we got either pick 9 or pick 11, because they'll blow out as well. 9 will become about 12 or 13, and 11 will go out to about 15. So it's just not going to work. So Toomey was actually saying in the last one, sort of video, been saying that probably Adelaide are going a bit cold on that idea now, using that first because of the fact they can't really get to where they'd like to.
Big Man, your thoughts?
Yeah, so it was interesting that Macca brought up the only taking the 2 players. Macca, did you read the article that Hamish spoke just recently today?
No.
Oh well, so you're actually pretty much on the money. So he says we'll only be taking 2 picks in the draft, 16 and probably 48, or one of the later picks. And he said we're going to keep a spot open for, I'm guessing, SSP or something. So a train-on player or something like that. We don't. So they've got something in mind there that obviously we're not privy to. But yeah, he says we're only going to take 2 live selections, which I thought was very interesting because I assumed we're going to take the 3. Now, Fiend, I was under the impression that you had to take 3 picks in every draft. That would have to. It can include a rookie upgrade, though, as Macca said.
That's right.
Would that mean? Are we going to? Does that mean? Does Archie count as a pick in the draft if we take him to the preseason draft?
That I don't know.
Good question. That's a very good question. I don't believe so.
So we'd have to upgrade a rookie like McAndrew, would we?
Yeah.
Well, whoever they choose, yeah.
It's curious. The messaging's a bit confusing. What's going on there? Because theoretically, we've got 3 spots to fill, but we're only going to take 2 players. We actually got 4 spots, but I'm assuming Archie gets to us.
Yeah.
But as Macca said, you're on the money, Macca, and that's what Hamish said tonight, pretty much. So, I didn't know
that, but it just seems logical.
As for the trading up, unfortunately, it looks like, I think this is a consequence of the Eagles genuinely likely to bid on Harry Dean with their picks, one of their picks, but likely, pick 2, which will be like pick 3, 4 after bids. Which means Carlton really need points, and they basically have to trade out of the first round this year. So it looks like Essendon and North are going to get their 9 and 11 for a couple of second rounders each, which shits me because it's a great deal for those clubs, and it does push our pick 16 back down a few spots because it means originally, if Carlton kept at least one of their 9 or 11, that pick would have been swallowed up by Dean, so our pick moves up. But because both Essendon and North will have picks in the open draft with those original Carlton selections, it means we actually get pushed down. Any teams after those picks get pushed down, actually. So our pick's almost certain to be now 20 on draft night when we read out its selection. So it's a bit of a shame. We'll talk about all the, how much do you give up for these sort of things? And I think what Finn and you guys said, if Sharp was on the board, I'm sure we would really do it. But I'm guessing we got intel as well that Sharp's not going to be there. So why bother? Just wait and maybe go around next year and see what we can do next year with our full suite of picks.
I don't think we've got a lot of choice, to be honest.
Well, I mean, it sounds like quite a few teams were interested, and we were definitely interested in at one point. You know, like generally, like I find in the media, like they get news a bit after the fact. So you know, when it was reported, it had probably already been started to fall away, and things happened late. So now, like, you almost don't want to be the team that's linked early because generally other clubs will get in front of you by the end of when it gets closer. And that's what's happened here, Essendon and North. I think Essendon giving up the pick in the 20s and maybe 1 or 2 picks in the 20s and for a pick 9, which is just crazy to me. And North are going to apparently giving up a 25 and a future second for 11. I mean, these are incredible deals when you consider what teams had to give up to just move a couple spots in last year's draft. So, I mean, it shows the strength of this year's draft versus that, but also it just shows that Carlton just basically, I know they need points, but they're not getting much out of these picks. So they're also really affected by, as I said, the likelihood that Dean's going to get a really early bid, much earlier than they probably expected.
Do you reckon he will, though?
Well, I think that's the threat. I think that is genuine. I think if you look at if you read the tea leaves, it sounds like it could genuinely be with their second pick after they take Dersma and Yurland. I think there's a real chance that they bid on old mate on Dean. So, and even if they don't, I think Richmond are almost certainly going to do it after that. Essendon probably won't because they'll probably agree. You know, if we get 9 from Carlton, we won't bid on Dean. It's, you know, a little gentleman's agreement. So, I mean, there's all these little things. You know, you never know exactly which teams are going to bid on who. But you know, I don't think Carlton would be trading their picks for peanuts if they thought that they could potentially, because like if they held 9 and 11 and there was a bid by, say, Melbourne on Dean just before pick 9, then theoretically they would swallow up pick 9 for Dean, and 11 would have only moved back a couple of spots, so they could get essentially another first rounder in from the open draft. But because if the talk of West Coast or Richmond bidding on Dean means that just can't happen, so they're better off just trading those picks away for points.
When did that happen? The trade of 9 and 11.
It hasn't happened yet.
Talk of
it. But yeah, Toby said basically last night that Essendon and North are in the box seat to land those picks on draft night.
Okay,
yeah.
I wasn't aware of that one.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like it's basically confirmed at this point.
Yeah, but from our point of view, you know, as I said, the 2 boys that would have been absolutely perfect for us are Sharp and Cumming, and that's because they are exactly what we need. But we've got no way of getting down to them, even if we did do this trade for 9-11, because they're going to get pushed out as well. So yeah, I think Crows are probably doing the right thing if they just stay where they are, and just work it out from there. I mean, they might be able to, as I said, they might be able to use the 2 picks to 16 and 48. They might be able to sneak up 2 or 3 picks, or 1 or a couple of picks at least. Anyhow, and and I think there's a range of about 5 to 6 players where I think they'd be interested in, and I think that's probably about all they're interested in.
Yeah, and if we're taking 4 picks into the draft but only selecting 2 players, we're going to have to trade out 2 picks into the future. So I'd be interested to see what they do there. I'm assuming we have someone in mind, like a club to trade those picks with already. Otherwise, we've got some bit wasted picks there. So we got 4 picks officially got 4 picks for this year's draft.
Yeah,
but Hamish is only going to take 2 players. So
one's gone. One's already gone because you got to need 1 for Archie. So you already only got 3.
That's a yes, but that's preseason draft takes place afterwards. So we go into the draft with 4 picks. We always would have had to trade out the last of the 4, which I think is in the 70s or 60s. But 48 and 55, we're going to have to trade one of them out or combine them into 1 pick or something, because if we're only going to take 2 players. So we actually will have to do some pick trading regardless.
No, upgrade a rookie. Yeah, you can upgrade a rookie.
That too, potentially. But we still have to trade out at least 1 pick.
I don't think so. No, the fourth pick. The fourth pick is for Archie. Third one you use for a rookie.
No, but that pick's in the national draft. Like that's actually a pick we're taking to the draft that we'll have to trade out because we'll be using it in the preseason draft. If that makes sense.
I don't understand the trade. No.
Do you know what I'm saying, Fee?
I kind of know what you're saying.
So we're taking
It's
4 picks into the national draft, but the fourth one would be used on Archie in the preseason draft. So we'd have to trade that fourth pick out of the national draft into a next year. Otherwise, it's just going to be wasted. We won't be using it. We'll just be passing on it.
Well, where's the pick then for Archie?
That's in the preseason draft. That's its own separate draft. Takes place on the Thursday or the Friday, the Friday, 2 days after or 1 day after.
So what you're saying is you don't actually have to have a pick. You just have to have a vacancy.
For the preseason draft, yes, correct.
Well, if that's the case, then you're right.
Yeah, because it's its own separate thing. It's quite convoluted, to be honest. I'm pretty sure I'm correct here, Feed, but it does sound confusing when I haven't explained it particularly well.
I understood it.
Yeah, no, we got there in the end, I think. Sorry, I'm still trying to fuss around with the bloody chats, so that's all right.
Yeah.
Go on, you two. You're doing well.
Well, just a big man. Have you narrowed it down? Do you think what type of targets, or do you think there's we're taking the best out of a bunch that we've graded? How do you think that we're going to approach this? Because if we only say, let's say we'll use 2 drafts and we'll take it as it is. That our 16 is going to be what, 20 something.
Yeah, about 20.
Yeah, let's call it 20. With that pick 20, there's the blokes I've narrowed down that I think that would fit into the target area. Like he may well be gone a little bit earlier, but Josh Lindsay, he's a quality halfback midfielder who excellent disposal, and and I think I'd love to see him come to Adelaide. He'd be good, but we'd probably have to then use our pick 48 or pick 55 to try and upgrade 16 up a couple of spots to get him. There's Mitch Marsh, who is basically a forward who could possibly turn into a bit of a mid as well. There's Filippo, the brother of the St Kilda Filippo, who is a mid, very skillful.
Do not want.
Okay. Yeah.
Who don't you want, Fee?
Filippo.
Well, he would. And look, his ego's a problem, but in terms of footy, he's pretty good. There's Oliver Greaves, who's a big bodied midfielder. Sorry. And he's 191 centimetres, and now he may or may be gone by then. But Vic Metro boy, Harley Barker, he starred in the under-18 carnival as a wingman. He's done an ACL, but I think he was Adelaide's original target. Now, whether he still is or not, I don't know. And another one is a forward guy who's kicked 8 against Western Australia in the carnival, and that's Cameron Nairn. I can't see it coming outside those players, because I think that's just around about the era in which we're going to be operating. To me, if you've got a bloke who's a forward and can do a bit of mid as well, that'll work pretty well in the sense because that enables Rankin and Rochelle to do spend a lot more time on the ball next year, which I think has to happen.
I think you
thoughts?
I think you summed it up pretty well there, Macca. Yeah, look, it's at this time of year, you can really only go on by which players journos are linking you to, because we all have our favourites, particularly those who watch a lot of the draft and the players and stuff. But at the end of the day, our thoughts don't really count for much. It's what our recruiters are being linked to. And you never get heaps of concrete information when you got a pick like ours. We know Durs was going to West Coast and stuff, but when you get into our region of picks, it's almost impossible to know who you're going to get. But I think those players you mentioned are in the mix. You said Harley Barker. I think he's a great example of a player that would suit us, and maybe it would have gone higher if not for the ACL. I don't think that's going to set him back too much. I know it was a pretty nasty knee injury, that one, but I think there's still got plenty of suitors, and he was tracking really well through the championships, especially just before his injury.
Yeah, he did.
He might have got on top 10 if it wasn't for the injury. He's got a couple of issues with his game that I'm not a huge fan of, but for the most part, I think beggars can't be choosers at the pick we'll have, and he's a local boy, and he's one. It's interesting. You see, Fiend, you said you don't want Philippou. Is that because of the comments he made about us the other day?
Well, what's the point? Honestly, what's the point?
I think I don't take as much stock into that stuff as some will. I'm not as offended by it. It is. I think to me, it's one of those things where like you can have an attitude. Like I know apparently Scott Thompson, way back had a bit of an attitude towards the Crows in his draft year. He didn't want to get picked up by us, and then 4 years later he joined us. So things can change. I will say it is a strange thing to say. At his age, in his draft,
the Philippou family have always said that about the Crows. They said the same with Mateus. I wouldn't be bothered with that family at all. Knowing what I know about them, I wouldn't be bothered with them at all.
I mean, the question is it's not like he's going to leave us for Port. Once you recruit an SA player, we almost never trade with Port. They generally stay with their own team. So I'm not concerned about any sort of leaving factor, but for me, I don't like how he just always talks about himself, and he's. I just don't think he's got the team at the front of minds when he talks. It's a lot of me.
I don't think he has either.
So, yeah.
Arab says in the chat that arrogance can be a good thing. There's one thing about being arrogant. I would say Patrick Dangerfield is an arrogant player. He's full of self-confidence, absolutely knows his own worth, all that sort of stuff, and yet 100% team player. I don't get that sense from either of the Philippous, and knowing what I know about that family and the bloke behind them, I wouldn't be bothered with them. Wouldn't give them the time of day. Someone else can deal with them.
Right, what's your thoughts about Josh Lindsay?
Yeah, so he's got look, in terms of his kick, he's got the most beautiful kicking action. It's very low, very quick from hand to foot. There's very little gap there, so he's almost always going to hit a target. It's very fluent. It's the perfect left foot kicking action, basically. The problem is you need more than a good kick in footy, and I'm not saying he doesn't have other attributes, but you look at a guy like Ari Shawmaker, who got delisted after 2 years at the Saints. So he's a beautiful kick, but he couldn't defend.
Why are we talking about Lindsay?
Because he might actually. Well, we might overlook him, Fiend. He might actually go to Geelong after our pick. That's how much.
I was pretty calm at the start of this podcast, but you blokes are talking rubbish. Why would we be looking at a mid to small defender? We've got 38,000.
No,
he's a playmaker with his foot skills. They feel like you can't.
Jesus,
he's so good at that. We see what
he's regarded. He's regarded as a. Can I finish? He's regarded as a halfback mid. He's not just a pure halfback.
Sorry, it's rated in. Rookie me has him in as a small to medium defender, and that's where I'd put him. He's from the Geelong Falcons. I don't know why you're even talking about him.
Look, I don't think I will say we haven't been linked to him by any of the scribes, so that's probably an indication that we haven't. Yeah, Mac, one thing I try to do is see how many times we get linked by different journos. If it's just one, then I'm like, whatever. But if it's multiple, then you start to get a feel for it. And Barker's one who has been. Philippou has only been by Kavanagh, at
Yep.
at the Herald Sun. But I think it's more Mark McGowan and obviously Callum Toomey who have been really on the money this year. So if you go by that, it would appear that it's Harley Barker, Mitch Marsh, and I mean Nan's one interesting one. He looks like he's going to be taken in the top 10 by Melbourne at this rate, which is crazy, like where that's come from. Mark McGowan went with that 2 weeks ago in his Phantom draft for the age, and that was like, I was like, wow, that's, pick 8 for Cam Nan. It's crazy, but it looks like that's going to be the case. He's now been invited to the draft night, which is a really good indication that he's going to get picked up early. And there's where there's smoke, there's fire there. So I don't know if he's actually going to be there for us to pick. The other one's Oscar Taylor, and I'm worried now, Finn, because he's another small defender. You said we've got too many of them. This one's really quick though, Finn. Does that help? He's the quickest player in the draft.
I'll tell you who's a smoky for me, and no one's talking about him. And with our pick profile, I think he might just sneak in, and that's Roberts Thompson.
Well, he's a smoky. I haven't got him either.
I'd be shocked if it was at the pick 16, but
No, not at 16.
He could definitely be in the mix with the other pick.
Yeah.
Oh, you think maybe 48?
Yep.
It's interesting that Haley said
at 48. It opens up many possibilities at 48. That opens up heaps. Yeah. We only go 16 and 48 separately and go 2 players. 16, I think we are talking about the players that would be around at that time, and I do think that your point, big man, about the number of times a player is mentioned for Adelaide, and that would have to be Harley Barker if you're going to go down that track. But at 48, Fiend, anything's possible. I've got no idea at 48.
Yeah,
so
it's player you mentioned really will be the because he's a mid forward. He's got a really nice kick on the left. Had a good champs. Been in the system a long time. I reckon he'd be. He fits what we need. I don't understand why you guys are looking at defenders. We need bloody midfielders, right? We need midfielders.
Well, I think I don't think we're going to factor that in with the first pick, Finn. I think because the chances of you getting a really good midfielder, particularly in this year's draft, is unlikely at our pick. I think if you see a player that you rate, regardless of position. I mean, Hamish even said that they're just going to pick for talent with the first pick, and then they'll look for the needs with the other pick, the later pick, which I thought was interesting about he says we'll look for needs at the later picks. So they probably have someone in mind they think they can get who's going under the radar. I don't think they're going to factor in no Fiend for this one, for the first one. I think they're just going to take whoever they like. So I'll chuck another name in there, and this is what McGowan actually linked. He had us taking Blake Threadgold, who's like fullback, or a centre half back.
I know. I didn't dare mention after what Fee was saying.
I know, because we can't even fit Geordie Butts in the team. But look, a surplus can quickly become a deficit thing. Within a couple of years, Mark Keane might leave us, or Geordie Butts might take up free agency next year, and you never know. Sometimes you just got to pick a play if you think they're really good, and sometimes it just turns out that that was the right call at the right time.
Look, I mean, if it's going to be the case, if it's going to be a case where there's no midfielder available in our first pick, then I think that there's only one choice, and that's Marsh if he's available, because we've got Tex dropping out, we've got Welsh who isn't coming on. We like playing the 3-prong thing. Marsh has had a really good under-18 season, so I think you just take him.
Yep. Well, I wouldn't be against him. He's certainly had great form, that Fiend. I mean, he kicked 30 goals in the local competition, and he got 13 goals in the under-18 comp, so nationals. So yeah, he can play and he can get goals. So
Rabbit says
the other thing too
is that he's a lead up, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, he's 191 centimetres, so he has to be a lead up because he's not going to be the overhead.
Yeah, he's a Jack Gunston type, in my opinion.
Yeah. But I mean, He's definitely. I think he's certainly in the mix there because he's got talent and he's a local boy. So yeah, I think it's a pity about Filippo because I must admit Filippo fits the need, but he may not be the person in terms of fitting the team. If that makes sense.
So Finn and I talked about Marsh on the last podcast, and like Finn, you said that you worry he's a bit of a tweener.
Yeah,
which I understand because he is on the shorter side for a key forward, but he's very mobile, which I like. So if you're going to be that size, at least he's got a bit of speed. He's a great runner. He's just and he's got a beautiful like little step on him. Yeah, and we don't like you never know what the end result is of these guys. I'm not saying he's going to be an on baller for us or anything like that, but he's played a variety of roles. He's played wing as well, for West Adelaide. And so, look, for me, he's probably the one where if he was to get to our pick and we don't take him, that would hurt a bit for me. I feel a bit sick about that one because I think he's the one. If I had a choice of anyone in this draft who was in our range, he'd be the one. Not just because he's local, but I actually agree. I think we need to look at a mobile forward in the post-Tex era, and I just see a player with really like serious skill. I'm surprised he's actually being talked about for our pick. I thought he would go too high for us originally, but more and more it seems like he could be around the mark, and heaven forbid we actually overlook him, which would be crazy, but it's not without a chance. So, yeah, I agree. I think he's the one. Oscar Taylor, I know we talked about before. I don't think he'll get to our pick. I think he's actually bolted too much for us now, but I think if he was there, we'd probably snap him up.
I think the only mid that gets.
I think he's a real Hamish type.
Yeah, I reckon the only decent mid that'll be around at our pick is Barker, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure about him.
Well, he's a wingman too. He's not really a mid, is he?
Yeah.
He's basically a pure wingman,
and he's got the he's got the ACL, so which is a real shame for him.
I do think though. I do think if you take a long-term point of view, though, Feen, if he is the right, if he was the right fit for the team, I think that he certainly is. He certainly showed great talent in the under-18 nationals.
I just don't think we can take the risk because you don't know how they come back from an ACL. Look at Elijah Hollins.
I
know he had other stuff.
My problem with him more is. Sorry,
Mac. I was going to say, I'm actually going to disagree with that, Fade. I think the whole ACL as a junior thing is really overblown. Like with sports science these days, and particularly, and this has generally been the case as well, if you do an ACL as a junior, you're just not nearly as affected as you are as an older player. Plenty of gun players have done ACLs as a junior or in their first 1 or 2 years in the AFL system that you wouldn't even know. Like when you think about it, Jake Lever's one, Christian Petrarca did an ACL in his first year. I can't, when he won his Norm Smith, I never thought, oh, gee, that ACL really hurt him back. Will Ashcroft won 2 Norm Smith medals. He did an ACL in his first year. I think, a lot of these players, in his first year, Will Ashcroft did an ACL. And he's won 2 Norm Smiths since. So, I just wouldn't think too much of it. Now, there's always the case that it becomes a recurring injury, like it did with Tommy Duday or, Alex Johnson back in the day or whatnot. But for the most part, I think it's one of those things where it's really only an issue later in your career. And for the most part, these days of sports science, it's not even that bad injury these days in terms of recovery. It's a long recovery, but for the most part, reoccurrence or actually ruining, hurting your career, it doesn't really happen that much. It's more, I'd say, Achilles and foot injuries are probably the worst these days. Particularly Achilles, they seem to be the nastiest. I wouldn't
still
be
not going to be available
for
a season. Do we really need to have a kid?
Well, half a season. I think when you're taking a kid, how much are you really expecting a Harley Barker to really have an impact for you next year? We've got 2 guys we took in the first round of 2023 who we haven't even debuted yet, in Edwards and Ryan. And Sid Draper's only just got a few games. He's barely got a look at it. So I think there's plenty of opportunity to give to those kids and develop Barker and in the Sandford. I don't think that's something we should really have to worry about, to be honest. I think you just take him if you rate them. And he's, as I said, he might be one that we couldn't have got if it wasn't for the ACL. Not just because clubs are worried about the ACL, but just because you don't have as much form to watch him in the back half of the year and to see. And there's a few more questions about him that clubs didn't have answered because he just wasn't able to play. So it might work to our benefit in that way. And yeah, sorry, Michael.
Very valid. I think that's a very valid point, because I think he's probably going to drop about 6 notches at least by the fact of having had the ACL. So yeah, I would say that if he hadn't had the ACL, I don't think he would be in this conversation. I think he'd be up a little bit further, because he had a great carnival. He did very, very well, and he showed he's got a lot of talent. But it does come back to Phoenix's point that he made earlier. He's a wingman, not a mid. And where is our weakness? Our weakness is in the middle. It really is in the middle.
Well, I wanted to do a bit of an exercise, and we might just cut to that now, because we're kind of talking around in circles, and that's all fine. But I wanted to just have a look at our... just take a moment to look at our squad profile, if you don't mind. Let me just have a look here. Because what I thought we might do is just see if we can come up with the best 22 for next season and try and spot some deficiencies. What do you reckon, Maka?
I think it's a great idea, mate.
Great idea? Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I've got my little spreadsheet here, and it's all... Funny, you can't see it because you're not watching. So, I think despite the fact that we've sort of got about 60,000 halfback flanks, I think halfback is actually a real issue for us. I think it fell away. Our ability to rebound off halfback really fell away in the second half. So let's just have a look. Going from defence, in terms of small defenders, we've got Huey Bond, we've got Mitch Hinge as a mid, we've got Max can play big or small, Oscar Ryan hasn't played, Charlie Edwards hasn't played, we'd like rather in the mid, and we've got Rory Laird. So we've got essentially 2 small defenders. Who are you backing in?
You got Michael?
You can go first, big man.
Oh,
No, you go.
boys. Bloody hell.
I'm curious to hear what you think.
No, you should show a pass. But, so I've sort of forgotten what the bloody question was now, because thought big man to do the right thing and go next.
You pair of girls, honestly. So we've got Rory Laird or Hugh Bond as the first choice small defender. Now, to me, it's obvious that they'll go with Rory Laird, even though Hugh Bond would be the one that I would go with. But Laird obviously had a good season and probably
He did.
deserves first crack.
No, he did earn it. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
I think even Lairdy's detractors would say he had a pretty decent year last year. Certainly better than the year before. I think he took to the halfback role pretty well. When he didn't play, I think we did notice it.
yeah. There's no doubt about it. He had an excellent year. Then we have, in terms of our spine, we've got 3 to choose from. We've got Keane, Butts, and Murray, with a bit of James Borlase sauce thrown in. Are we going with Keane and Murray to start off with?
I think so. Although, yeah, I think so. I think I am.
Definitely
What do you
Kane. Murray and Butts, I think at the start of pre-season it has to be a clean slate, neither are ahead of each other, and whoever had the better pre-season and trial game form gets the gig. Because I don't think Murray did anything to say I deserve this spot more than Butts. If anything, Butts was the better player last year. I just think we have more hope for Murray, that he has more. Because we know, Murray was a great player for us a couple of years ago before the knee injury. I think we're all hoping he can get back to that. But for now, I think that there's no reason why Butts wouldn't be and on the same level, if not in front. So I couldn't call either way. I mean, if you put a gun to my head, I would say, I'd actually say I think Butts is the proven player for the time being, and I think having him in the team helped out Keane more as well, because Butts is just that bit better defensively. And it seemed like our mix was a bit better when Butts was in the team. And that's also because just Murray wasn't able to get to his best form last year. I think he's still having issues with that knee, and he needs to work on his mobility because that's dropped off a bit in the last couple of years. So I think Butts actually, if anything.
What do you think,
You swayed me. You swayed me. Yeah, I think Big Man put up a very good argument there. I'll go with him on that one.
Three votes.
But Butts was actually... Buzz was playing very well, actually, by the time he got injured.
Yeah.
Sam Darcy.
Yeah.
No suspension or fine or anything.
3 votes, Butts. I'm with you on that one. Now, we've got the other back pocket as well. Now, we've kind of mixed and matched a little bit there. I think sort of Max Michelani is probably the one along with... I mean, it's all positional, but we're talking about a group of 6, really. So Max probably takes that other pocket.
I think so.
Yep.
And then obviously we've got Worrell, Miller and Hinge as the incumbents across half-back. So one will be on the bench, but that's like normal course of business sort of thing. You probably put Worrell in there as the third tall.
Yep.
And then you probably start with Miller.
Agree.
Yeah. Basically, back half the year.
Hinge on the bench.
Hinge bench.
Well, Hinge is a watch for me, Fang. Just, I know, like, I've given him a bit of a serve in the last few months because I didn't like the way he finished the year.
Mm-hmm.
Look, when he's up and about and when he's playing well, he's absolutely in our best team. He's a really good, solid player for us. But that's what it wasn't that. He lost his way, particularly once Worrell really got going. So he's got to find his form, find a better role for himself, and otherwise, there's others I prefer. You know, Oscar Ryan sitting there. I think Hugh Bond. You know, you mentioned it before. I think there's a world where Hugh Bond plays instead of Hinge, and Charlie Edwards. If we've got to, persist with him as a defender, then he's another one. So, yeah, I wouldn't want Hinge to feel comfortable that he's got a spot sewed up. I think he needs to work really hard to rediscover his best form, which I hope he does because he is a good player. But he was pretty ordinary in the back half of the year.
Yeah, his last 6 games are very, very ordinary.
I think Mitch Hinge struggled with the change in game plan. I think our lack of run off half-back, our desire to go down the line, really curtailed some of Mitch's run through half-back. I recall at the beginning of last season, him and Max coming off the back of the square at centre bounces and distributing, and he's very good at switching play and hitting those diagonals, and I think that kind of left our game either by desire or some other strange reason, and I think Hinge was one of the main ones to suffer from that. I think it kind of curtailed his natural creativity, and we saw when he was able to be creative, he can still hit a good pass. So I don't know, I'm not 100% convinced that I'm looking at the back 6 there. We've got Worrell, Keane, Butts, Miller, Michelani and Laird. I'm not 100% convinced against some opposition that that's the right mix. I don't think we have enough run off half-back, to be perfectly frank with you.
You're saying we should draft a half-back thing?
No, I'm actually saying we've got better options. I'm saying we've got better options. I would say that
you can roll Cumming back there.
Well, at the expense of who? So this is my point. Wayne Miller, I'm a bit in agreement with Rabbit in the chat. I don't think he actually offers us enough run off halfback. He didn't play too badly last season, but his kicking options are always short. He takes the easy option. He doesn't break lines. And we saw the way the game's playing last year. You really need line breakers off halfback, and Wayne really wasn't giving that to us. So unless he picks up his game and starts running through defenders and kicking longer balls, I don't think he's necessarily the answer off halfback.
I agree about Wayne and he's like not taking the game on more and giving us that line breaking that we really want from him. He has really been doing that for a long time now. But as a defender and what he did early, and I think he had a really balanced game in the back half of the year. I think he got enough of the ball in the offense, but he also really stood up defensively as well. So I'm not questioning his spot at the team, but I agree. I think, and we chatted about this a lot like last year, that we still seem to lack that gun, mid, that gun half back who gets 25 a game, and that Whitfield type that other teams have. Bailey Dale's another one. Josh Dacos even for Collingwood. We just don't seem to have that player. We have guys that can obviously defend and play well on their day, but we probably don't have that real counter-attack player at the moment. And I don't know if that guy's on our list yet. Oscar Ryan has some attributes of someone who could do that, but again, he's probably more in the Michael Annie mold of someone that's probably more on the defensive side of things. He does have a bit of pace and line breaking ability, but it's not his trademark. Whereas, we sort of need one of those players. We just haven't been able to address that area. Maybe, hopefully, someone from within can fill the gap. Otherwise, I think you've got the right sort of players in there. And I still think there's room for Hugh Bond there. As I know he's not going to offer you anything really offensively, but he could free up someone else to do that. Potentially a Max Michaelani if Max can really improve his ability to get some easy ball and drive off half back this year. A guy like Hugh Bond could play that more lockdown role and free up someone like Max.
What do you reckon, Mac?
You're right. I think the people that we put in those particular spots, you're quite right. There isn't a lot of run that coming off there. I did think towards the end of the year, Miller was starting to do a little bit of it, but personally, I like the idea of putting Cumming back to a half-back flank. I just think that if you've got any doubt, I'll certainly in the rotation for it. But I like you. But the other possibility would be to move Michael Annie up and Bond back into the back pocket, or at least have that ability through rotation. You've got 5 people on the bench now, so you can think about that, doing that type of thing. So
that's true.
But you're right that we did lack that run. But you could actually, if you had Bond, you could actually make that move at times that perhaps put Michael Annie back on that half-back flank. Hinge, I thought, was a liability in the last six matches or so. But I did notice, Barty Magic said that he played sore in the last few weeks. Well, he shouldn't have been playing if he was playing sore. So
that's exactly. We had plenty of guys that could have taken his spot.
Yeah. So that really doesn't. You present yourself, you're saying I'm fit. So, you can't use that excuse. So, I think we can put up a pretty decent enough backline team, but we certainly don't have that magic man that Big Man was talking about, and he quoted, 3 or 4. They actually turn your defence into a full-blown attack.
Yeah, Wayne Miller is obviously another one. Although he's a midfielder now as well, so he just does it all.
Doesn't play for us.
Yeah.
Even Connor Rosie is another one. Someone of that ilk that we just don't really have.
Well, I'm with Macca. We've got one of those blokes in our side, and his name's Isaac Cumming. And I think he's far better suited to a half-back flank than a wing. I think we get more out of him off the half-back flank than on the wing. I think we've got other options that can play on the wing, and my vote between Miller and Cumming would be Cumming.
Well, I'll counter that fan. I'll say that I agree that absolutely that Cumming's better suited. He's a more natural defender than he is on the wing. Again, we're putting a player that's not. It's a more of a square peg in a round hole with Cumming. He's capable on the wing, but we're not maximising his ability, his talents within that role. But I'd say he's probably more of a natural interceptor than he is a rebounder, if that makes sense. I think he's more in the Worrell / Hinge mix of players. Just watching him at the Giants and now at us, he's a very natural read of the ball going back in the flight. He's good, he'll take intercept marks and he's a nice player base kick, but I don't think he's someone that's really going to offer heaps of dash and run. I just don't think that's how his style of play.
No,
So
but
I'm
what
not
he
sure
does
he's even the
offer,
one. If anything, I think
what he
I
does
actually
is
think
offer more
Nankervis could
penetrating
potentially be another
disposal.
one.
No, not Nankervis.
Yes. You don't. Is that because you don't
No,
want Nank in defence, or you don't want him in the team?
I don't want him in defence. I think he
Okay.
does. He's an attacking player. I think I actually like Luke off a wing. To be honest with you, I noticed the deeper in defence he got Luke, the harder he struggled, and it eventually led to him being dropped. I like him a bit further up the ground. The thing you get with Cumming, I think, that you don't get with Miller, is a more penetrating, decisive kick. Miller will give you plenty of little chips and little sideways and all the rest of it, but he won't break a line with his kicks. Now, agree or disagree about whether Isaac is a running halfback that'll break a line, but his kicks will certainly break a line. And he's got the ability,
kick, yeah.
if he's allowed to, by the coaching staff, his ability to change lanes with some sort of aggression is far better than Miller's, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly happy
I don't
with
disagree.
them, but I certainly might probably still got Miller in the 23.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about best. We're talking about who was
Best 18?
starting at the moment. Well, who was starting at the moment, Max? So
Yeah, well, no,
what's
then
your,
I'm
what's
happy
your
with
vote,
Cumming then.
Miller or Cumming at halfback?
Cumming.
Big man, you want Miller?
I think Miller, but I also want Cumming in the team. But I don't think I don't see how he fits into our current defence unless we take Hinge out of the team and put Cumming in that role.
Yeah, you lose because I'm voting for Cumming as well.
I like both. I think they're both absolutely part of our best team.
So we've got a back six of Michael Annie Keane coming across halfback, Laird, Butts, Worrell across fullback. To me, Cumming there just makes it just a little bit more solid, in my opinion. Anyway, let's move on to centre line. Now, there's a bit to talk about here because obviously there's a lot of talk about the young lad going into the middle. What's his freaking name again? Curtin going into the middle.
Curtin?
We've got Charlie Edwards in the wings who just has to get a run at some stage. We've got Sam Draper who didn't get much of a run at all. And we got a couple of vacancies with Matty Crouch and that midfield stalwart Lockie Murphy no longer in the squad. So, first of all, are we resigned to Riley O'Brien starting in the ruck?
Starting, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think when you're on a contract to his size, they're going to play him regardless, aren't they, to justify it? So.
Yeah. So who's on our wings? Considering I just chucked Cumming at halfback.
I still think. Oh, look, everyone will say Curtin should be midfield. I agree that I'd like to see him get more time in there, but I'd still like if you're gonna say where he's playing, just like as of now, it's still as a wingman predominantly, I think, which could change, of course.
I think starting as a wingman, but I wouldn't be against the fact that if you had interchanges between the midfield and the wing, between Cumming and say Saligo or another player, just to, I just think Cumming's got a not. We just need. I mean, his Curtin's big. I mean, he's got to just learn his trade in there.
Yeah.
I don't know how much midfield time he's actually played, but I just think I'd just give him a little burst in there just to start learning the trade. If he looks like he's going to really go on with it, then you actually change your mind and say, okay, you're going to become a full-time mid. But I think I'd just like to see him play on the wing and just give him just a little burst in there.
I think that's the way it's going to go, Macca. I think they're going to we've got 5 on the bench now. There'll be plenty of rotations through that middle. Coaches we'll just use that extra bench player to maximise rotations and keep the midfield fresh. And I think, we won't be any different. I think we'll see a few blokes run through there over the course of the year, and Curtin will have stints, but I think he will start out of the centre square. Are we all resigned to Geordie in playing centre?
Oh, sure.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah. And
I think for the other wing, Fiend, and I'm curious to what you and Mac would think of this. Like, if you look at Curtin, right, on one wing, he's a reasonably high possession getter, but not a massive at this stage. He's good for a 15 maybe a week. And obviously he's contested marking and that outlet sort of bailout player is what he really separates him from the others. For the other wing, would you prefer someone who's more of an accumulator, or that's going to get your 25 touches on the wing up and down, or do you prefer a more dynamic player who might not get as much the ball, but brings probably more X factor and speed? Because for me, Nankervis would be the latter, and a Billy Dowling would be the former, the more accumulating type, or Scholl as well. Although I think we probably moved past Scholl at this point.
No Scholl.
Mac, what do you think?
I wouldn't be actually against trying Miller at starting on the wing. He's got pace.
Yeah.
What
do you think,
delivery.
Do you agree with that?
Well, the funny thing is, I was going to say I wouldn't be averse to trying Mitch Hinge on the wing. It takes him away from a dangerous area at half-back, and it gives him a bit more licence to use that leg, and he can also take a mark, Mitch, which would give us two marking wingmen in Curtin and Hinge, which, given the way that we play, I don't think would be a bad option. Both blokes can run, but they can also kick the ball well and take marks, and that's why I would probably lean towards Hinge over Miller, to be honest.
You have to be a very good runner now to be a wingman in the AFL.
Somebody. What about Archie? Where are we going to play Archie?
Well, no one's forgotten him.
I have as a forward. I'm playing forward.
He played in that grand final as a wing, almost half back, and he was outstanding, absolutely outstanding.
Yeah,
in the grand final, and I totally just remembered him, and I thought, no, he's the man for the other wing. I definitely think he's the man for the wing.
Not a chance.
You don't think so, Finn?
No.
Why? Where do you think he'll play?
He'll play half forward, in my opinion.
Well, you've got a situation. Well,
you just asked me. That's what I think.
If there's I don't know.
Well, you never know. We'll find out soon. Like, training starts relatively soon, so I'll let you know.
I mean, I can see it. I think Brisbane played Archie very well, Mac, to your point. They almost let him play a bit of a utility swingman kind of role, and
they did
sort of run up and down the ground. Okay. I don't think he played as a traditional wingman. I think he was more just a he seemed to be the bloke that was plugging the gap in the transition wherever the gap was, if you know what I mean. Like, if the gap was the release kick out of defence, he'd go there. But if the gap was the third kick before the forward entry, he'd be there, if you know what I mean. Like, he tended to be used as sort of like, Callum, you go where the next kick's going to go if you can see an opening.
Or where you think, not just an opening, if you think where they're going to go to. So, he didn't actually stay on that. He lined up on the wing, but he went all over the place, and a lot of it was in defence as well. I just thought he played an outstanding game in the final. I see Adelaide doesn't agree with me. He says, on just the basis that Archie might play wing. I don't know whether he will or not. I'm just saying that I wouldn't be against him being against being there, because the guy's capable of playing there. He's capable of playing in defence. He's capable of playing in the forward line.
We're at selection, so we can't gas bag too long because the boys want to go home. So
Sorry,
we've got
Shane. Do you see a world in that Dowling starts on a wing for round
No.
one next year?
no,
You don't see it?
no.
He's out of contract next year, so he needs to. It's now or never for him.
I think his horse.
He does, but they won't play him.
I don't. I think he's not quite up to AFL.
Okay. I'm not sure yet. I'm still think there's this. I think he's got like enough football attributes to make it, even though he doesn't have any X factor per se. But yeah, I'm just curious if like for that other wing role, I think if he can't make it his own next year, then obviously that's probably it for him. So
Put it this way:
he might be one to watch.
Put it this way: the three we're discussing, Miller, Hinge, and Archie, would all be ahead of Billy Dowling, in my opinion.
Yeah, they would be.
On ability and talent, yes, but I think that wing role is that's the most kilometers any player travels now in the AFL. You have to be super fit, and Curtin is and Dowling is like if you in terms of like at the club, Hinge especially, and even Miller, they're not in the elite runners at the club, so it's quite a demanding role. So they might not actually be suited to that role. Whereas someone like a Dowling, a Curtin, Scholl, even Nankervis is a pretty good runner. They might be more suited to that wing role just because of the work rate required.
I'd have Nankervis before Dowling because, again, Nank can take a mark.
Yep. No, I don't disagree with that, though. I'm a big Nank fan, so.
So we've got to fill this.
Yeah,
we've got to fill this wing role. So who we starting there? Show of hands. Mac?
Well, if you want to put Nankervis there, I'll go along with you for the sake so we can move on.
Oh, yep. I'm not fussed, but what about you, big man?
No, I want him in the team. If that means he has to play wing, then so be it. I think if you asked him, he would prefer to play half back, but we've done it. We haven't done that in this situation, so wing it is.
Yeah. So are we starting Tex, Fogg, and RT as a matter of course?
I am.
I think we start that way, yeah.
So that makes it fairly easy. Fogarty under a little bit of pressure, in my opinion. Probably not so much because we don't have much in terms of replacement, but and I know that he struggled with, would he have that shoulder or whatever it was that he started struggling with halfway through the season, or it might have been a foot, I can't remember, or a hip, or God knows what, I don't know. But he needs a productive season. He really tailed off in the second half of the season, in my opinion.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was he one of the players to have off-season surgery once the game's finished?
I can't remember.
I think he might have. I don't know if it was for his shoulder or for his knee or something, but so I'm going to get. Okay, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there, because you're right. He's basically going one goal a game at best in the back half of the year, which for his style of play isn't enough. But his first half of the year was really good. So yeah, I mean, I agree. I think we're all hoping that he's just got another little level to go to, rather not just be a 40-goal a player. Like at the moment, he's probably on Jenkins's level, I'd say. Even though I prefer him as a player to Jenkins.
I'd be happy with him playing at the level that we've seen he can play consistently. I don't think he needs to be a 60-goal forward in the position. Like, he does a lot of hard work. He gets up and down the lines, and often that goes unnoticed with Darcy because he's a big fella, but he does get up and down a fair bit, and often takes the bailout kick, so he's under the pressure and got a couple going up with him and all that sort of stuff. So, like, my knock on Darcy is that he started to go missing. We weren't seeing much out of him at all. I think his work rate sort of dropped out. I think his body let him down a little bit, and he couldn't get the best out of it. So I just wanted to see him have a consistent season, 40 to 45 goals, and being a real reliable contributor week in, week out, because we're not going to get that from Tex this year, in my opinion. I think I'd be surprised if Tex is in our best 23 by the end of the season, to be honest. I just think the cliff's come for Texan. We did actually jump the gun a little bit. We've got two midfield roles left to go. So this will be interesting. Who are you starting with?
Oh, Curtin, Dawson, Nankervis.
No. I'm talking about with O'Brien in the ruck.
Oh, the two followers.
Two followers.
I think Rankin's in there. He's definitely in the. No, he won't be because he can't play round one. But I'm assuming.
Well, let's forget about round one. Which this is our best 23, so forget about that ban.
Yeah. So Rankin is a must. And who are the other options?
Soligo.
Soligo.
Oh yeah, Soligo. No, I think Soligo earned his spot. So I think we start with Rankin and Soligo, and Peatling will be one of the change players.
How about you, big man?
Yeah, probably Rankin and Soligo on a talent level. I'd still wonder whether that mix is the right mix. Dawson, Soligo, Rankin. It's quite. There's probably not that real defensive minded player. Although Dawson's obviously a great tackler.
Yeah, we don't want to waste him on the inside. I'd start with Berry, to be honest. I know he had a bad one against Hawthorn, but we need a ball in there.
Well, I'm assuming that's what Peatling's there for.
But Peatling's not. You haven't started Peatling. But you haven't started Peatling.
No, he'd be in the first rotation. I think at the start of the game, you want your guns in there. Yeah, I mean, I would probably have that. Rankin, I still have some misgivings about him with his Russian roulette style at the centre. He's all or nothing, but I think you can't teach his ground ball ability and his creativity at stoppage. So I still think he gets in there, particularly if Rochelle and Archie are fit, and Neil Bullen as well, and Keys and whatnot. So I think we've got enough ahead of the ball for him to be able to play midfield and that without injuries. And like I know we talk about Dawson where he's most suited to, but they're going to play him as in the guts. He's an All-Australian midfielder twice now. Like he's doing pretty good in there, even though he's not. I think even his contested clearance work was an improvement this year as well, even though he's still not a big clearance winner. And Soligo is the one that we need to take a step. I think he's probably the biggest watch this year.
Agree.
I think we all have hopes that he's going to become something more than he is. He's just failed to run out games twice, to run out 2 years, in a row now, where he's just died a bit in the back half of the year. And we all think it's probably some groin-related issue. Hopefully next year's where he really gets going because you can see he's got it. He just needs to put it all together.
Mackie, you happy with Rankin and Soligo starting?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So we've got the mid and small forwards left in the starting 18. Calamarchi probably needs to be one of those.
Yep.
He's still got to be on the ground, yeah.
Alex Neil Bullen will probably start.
Yep.
Have you said Rochelle?
I haven't said
We
Rochelle
haven't.
yet.
Because he'd definitely be starting.
So we've got, of the forwards, I would say we've got Zach Taylor, Alex Neil Bullen, Josh Rochelle, Luke Pedler, Ben Keys.
We've got a few, haven't we?
That's what we're talking.
I mean, if you ask me, it would be Rochelle, Keys, and Archie with Nibbler on the bench. I think does that sound about right?
Sounds good to me.
Well, yeah, we'll go with that.
What are your thoughts, Mac?
Well, it's those four players for three spots we're talking about. So, I mean, it makes sense. It doesn't matter whether you say...
We got bench spots, so, I mean, you know.
Yeah,
I would...
exactly.
I would argue that there's a case to be made for Key starting on the bench, but it's much of a muchness. It's just a rotation. All right, so we've got 38 players left to pick for the bench, because apparently the bench is being... So I'd imagine you'd want at least 2 mids on that rotation, I'd say. So we've got
firstly,
Draper
one
and
Neil
Peatling.
Bullen. It's not
Sorry?
Draper, Peatling, yep, and Neil Bullen.
Well, he's not a mid, so just hold your horses.
No, sorry, but he's taking up one of the spots.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Those are the
So-
2 mids that I agree. Peatling and Draper.
Yeah, so Berry doesn't start.
Yeah.
I think he's probably. I think you're probably fighting a lone battle there after his final series fame. I don't want to be too harsh.
Was he an orphan? Was he an orphan?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. But
Right.
it's a tough caper.
No room for Charlie Edwards?
This is the hard
Very
thing.
hard to
We want these guys to play, but without injuries, it's a big gap. It's a big jump to go from barely considered all last year to playing round 1 or being our best team next year.
If
a
I
big
remember
jump to
rightly,
do.
we haven't put a hinge on a spot on the ground, have we?
Well, because we're talking about midfielders right now.
No, we'd agree. Well, I thought we'd agree with. Because you're looking for a spot for Berry, but I think Draper and Peatling will be certainties. I think Berry's going to be the one that's going to have to force his way back in.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I would be highly annoyed if Sid Draper didn't start the season. Make some mockery of even bothering picking him if you're not going to play him. Peatling, I think, earned the right. And I think, Jake Saligo's an inside-outside player, so we've got a bit of grunt there along with Dawson. Peatling offers that as well. Draper's a bit in and out, so I think we've probably got a reasonable mix there.
I agree.
Rankin with a bit of dash, and I would certainly hope that Josh Rochelle gets a run. God help us. Has to get a run in the midfield next season. All right, so that's 2 interchanges. Now, you want Hinge on the bench, do you?
We've got Neil Bullen has to go in there.
Yeah.
So you prefer Hinge over Bond?
No, I'm asking.
Well, it's going to be Hinge or Bond, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to be Hinge or Bond. I think. I like Bond. Hinge offers more versatility, I think, in the sense that he can probably play any of the backline levels and on wing and even on the wing. Whereas I think Bond, being a shutdown type of player, has got probably less. I think
he's been pigeonholed.
Hinge,
I think Bond's been pigeonholed as that shutdown player. I think he's got more strings to his bow than that.
And he may well. He may well have been. But you're right, he has been pigeonholed. And I'm pigeonholing him because of that.
An in-form Hinge is ahead of Bond, but an out-of-form Hinge is behind Bond. So,
I think that's good.
Yeah, I think you know what you're going to get from Bond. I don't think we know what we're going to get from Hinge these days, but if he's back in form and fully fit, then he gets in front of Bond, I think.
Who's your vote? Because I vote Bond.
I'll say Hinge, but I do rate Bond.
And I'm in the same camp. I'll say Hinge, but he has to be informed, and Bond's certainly pushing him.
The only reason I'd pick Bond over Hinge, or one of the main reasons, is because he is a little bit versatile. He can lock down on a midfielder if needs be, as well as lock down on a small forward. So, but
actually, is Miller in this list?
No.
Oh God. See, I'd have Miller ahead of Hinge.
Yeah, that's true.
So
what name?
Unless
I couldn't catch that.
Miller.
So I asked that. Yeah, I forgot that Miller wasn't actually in the team at this point. So, and I can't see how he doesn't. He's got to make it.
Yeah,
He's better than
he's in
Hinge.
the 20. Better, definitely in the 23.
Does that
So
mean
Hinge
can
out.
they both be in there?
No, I don't think so.
There's 5 spots. What's the 5th spot going to be, like position wise?
Well,
What's your?
I would think maybe Luke Pedler would be in the frame. Zach Taylor would be in the frame.
Oh yeah. Well, you know my thoughts on him.
Yeah. We've
Oh,
got
that's
no
tricky.
tools. We've got no tools on the bench. But that's probably right. We've got a fairly tall side.
You're right. I haven't.
Well, you wouldn't have any more tall forwards in there, would you? And I think there's already 2 key defenders plus Worrell in the back line. Max can play reasonably tall.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we actually need that many tools in general on the bench.
Mm-hmm. Well, if he goes well in the pre-season games, could Pidmar Maley be considered as somebody who can be?
No.
No, I'm talking about a relief for O'Brien.
No, we've got Thilthorpe as relief for O'Brien.
I don't subscribe yet to the whole 5th spot on the bench being for a ruck, like a second ruck.
I don't think they'll waste. I don't think coaches will waste that spot on a ruckman. They will just load up with another midfielder. Because the name of the game is to keep your midfield and your running players fresh, and they'll just use that extra slot for that purpose. There's no way they'll play 2 rucks. Any team that plays 2 rucks is bloody stupid, in my opinion.
I think you'll find a couple of teams will,
and they're stupid.
The majority won't.
They will. They'll try it and they'll regret it, I reckon. They'll back out of it after one game.
And that might be the case, but I do think that, well, as I said, the Premier's played a couple.
Oh, look, if Filthy goes down, then Maley becomes an option along with Toby Murray. But until then, I think just Filthy is the second ruck.
Yeah. So we've got one bench spot left.
There's Nibblers in there in the bench, isn't he?
Yeah. At the moment, we've got Peatling, Draper, Neil Bullen, and Miller. So really, it'd be out of probably Zach Taylor, Luke Pedler, Braden Cook, Hugh Bond,
or Hinge.
I
think Hinge probably makes it. And look, I think Pedler will be stiff because that really solid finals, and I think we still have hope. And he's probably one of the first in if there's injuries, I reckon. But that team last year when he got in, that you got to remember Rochelle wasn't playing, and even that last final, Rochelle was the sub. So if everyone's fit, then I think with Rochelle in the team, Keys in the team, Archie, who's sort of a similar player in some ways to Pedler in terms of his aerial ability, and you got Neil Bourne in there too. That's probably a lot of small to medium forwards already. So I think probably Hinge gets in front, but you guys might disagree.
What do you think, Matt?
No, once again, I'm with Big Man. I think Hinge probably gets in front there.
Rightio.
He makes the emergency those things.
Well, I mean, let's talk about blokes unlucky. You'd probably say Pedler is unlucky.
Yeah.
Yes.
You'd probably say Sam Berry's a little unlucky.
Yep.
You'd probably say Zach Taylor's unlucky.
Yep.
Definitely. Definitely.
I mean, they're the 3 from last season that played. And Braden Cook, I guess.
And Bond.
Yeah, Bond. Yeah. What do you think about Braden Cook? Unlucky. Not quite.
No.
Well, don't forget, Macca absolutely tore him to shreds after that one handball game against the Hawks.
I did, and he deserved it.
He said it was the worst game ever played by an AFL player.
It was a Murphy game, a bad Murphy game. It was a shock. It was a shocking game.
Oh, look, he's another one where it's last chance to learn. I saw growth in his game this year. I thought his contested work was better at AFL level, but also particularly in the SANFL. He he actually started to dominate games in the SANFL as well, which wasn't always the case. Obviously, it's a step up to the AFL in terms of the speed and the physicality of it, but I just thought there was some growth in his competitiveness this year. It might not be enough to save him, but God, he's such a good kick, and he's such a smart player. I would love for him to make a career out of himself, but he's up against it at this point. But I haven't given up just yet. But it's very hard, isn't it? Like, you know, you got to be in the team, then to stay in the team. All it takes is it took one bad game for him to drop all out, and he never got back in. So he's up against it. But I actually still have some hope for him. I don't know how you feel, but
on injuries, he might get a chance, but you know he's got to earn it too.
I like him as a player. You know, I've always said he came from a long way back to even be on an AFL list. And some of the stuff that he does is mercurial, but whether he can be a reliable AFL player, I don't know. The purpose for me wanting to do this best 23 exercise is to just have a look at it on paper, and we've struggled a little bit to squeeze blokes in, and we've got a couple of unlucky blokes and all the rest of it. Is this a team that wins a premiership?
No, it isn't, is it? It just doesn't have that star quality in the middle. Just done that.
yeah.
Look, teams that win a premiership, they have a ace midfield. You have a look at Brisbane's midfield.
Well, I don't know about that, Mac, but they certainly have a 1-2 punch in the midfield, don't they? They have solid players, but they have a 1-2 punch usually.
You look at Geelong, who played them. They have an A grade midfield, or top midfield, and yet
they have 2 stars. Then it drops away, but that's all you need. 2 stars. They have Smith and Holmes. The next best is Atkins. There's plenty of Atkins quality players, but those two, I think more and more, Macca, I think you need 2 great midfielders, and right now we only have 1.
You do.
Well, I would argue we haven't got any.
That sums it up.
I would argue we haven't got any.
He's a match winner though, Finn. So and he plays in the midfield. Even though his best stuff is not always actually at stoppage, I think in general he's an elite midfielder. If that makes sense, he just plays.
I don't think he's an elite midfielder.
He does everything. That's the thing.
I don't think he's an elite midfielder at all.
Yeah. We have 3 match winners in our team at the moment, which isn't terrible, but I think, you know, Rankin's an interesting one because I think we all consider him a match winner, but he's not an elite midfielder, if that makes sense, even though he played quite a lot in the midfield this year.
Mm-hmm.
So is he just an elite forward that can go in the midfield, or is he actually going to become an elite midfielder? And I think Phil Thorpe's the other one. Phil Thorpe stood up this year. If he stayed at his level right now for the rest of his career, I think we'd be delighted because he was just amazing this year.
He was. He was.
So, but look, I think you need more than 3, and like I said, you need 2 in the midfield. But in general, you just need more stars, and I think Curtin's one with potential to be a star.
No, see, the one for me is Josh Rochelle. Josh Rochelle is the one. We have to let this kid off the leash, in my opinion.
Mm.
I really think we have to let him off the leash. I think he could be as mercurial as Rankin. I think he's a clearance machine. And last year I felt like he was really turning in a really solid patch of form before he got injured. And I think it's criminal that he's just played off half forward. He needs to be in centre rotations. And for me, Rochelle is the one out of our whole... Well, probably there's 2. There's Curtin and Rochelle, but Curtin's probably maybe a year short yet. But to me, Rochelle is definitely the one for me that we need to take the next step. But he also needs the coaching staff to have trust in him to take the next step as well, in my opinion.
Well, I can remember one particular game last year, Payne. He was given. I think he attended 3 centre bounce clearances for the game, and won all 3 centre bounce clearances.
He is
never got never got used.
Statistically, he's
Yeah,
our best clearance player.
Yeah, he never got used for the rest of the game and didn't get used next week. I mean,
Yeah,
I just couldn't understand. I mean, the guy, he attended 3, cleared 3.
yeah.
That wasn't good enough.
But that's been a constant theme. I remember in the first half of 23 when he was getting runs in there, and he was consistently getting had about a 30 or 40% clearance ratio when he was in there. I mean, I don't know what the coaches are looking at, but
he's probably a victim of of just being so good around the ball. Good around the goals. That we don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul with him, because he's one of our most dynamic players around the goals. He just kicks them out from everywhere. So,
well, the obvious rotation is him and Isaac.
Yeah,
and you're not losing that spark in front of goal.
Oh no, I agree. But if you're like swapping them back and forth, then I know that either are going to have an all-Australian midfield year, because they're both sort of 50.
I disagree.
You know what I'm saying?
I disagree with that.
It's hard to be an elite midfield if you don't play almost full-time midfield.
Well, I'm saying Rash should be playing full-time midfield. He's wasted at half forward, in my opinion. Half forward is a graveyard spot.
Would you prefer Rochelle in the midfield than Rankin?
I'd prefer Rochelle in the midfield to Rankin. In terms of permanency, I would actually swap those two around. In fact, I'd actually consider putting Curtin at half forward and Rankin on a wing, to be perfectly honest.
Jesus, I haven't heard that one.
Well, you imagine how dynamic Rankin would be out of the centre bounces, running in off a wing or off a half-back line, and just being able to straight line the ball. Ranks would be a 50% more effective player than what he is at the moment, because you're absolutely right with regards to his rolling the dice tendencies. I mean, I highlighted that in my midfield videos last year. He's a complete speculator in centre bounces, and when it's almost a liability, because when the ball doesn't come to him, his opponent often gets the ball. But imagine Rankin being the next bloke to get the handball received from a Dawson or a Saligo. That's where you want Rankin to be. You want him to be that player.
Mm.
And I reckon a wing would be perfect for him.
I
think
I don't think we need. Yeah, I don't think we need to, because I like Curtin on the wing because of the height that he's got and him, you know. But you could get a situation where Curtin and him rotate.
I think we are victims sometimes, Adelaide, and us as supporters, of getting over enamoured by putting our best players in the hot seat. Jordan Dawson, for example, to me is not a natural centreman. To me, he's a natural half-back flanker. But we're resigned now to him being in the midfield rotation. But him off half-back is killer, right, with runs up forward, right? Daniel Curtin, I can see as being an effective midfielder, but I still think he'd be a powerhouse lead up forward. Josh Rochelle is an absolute clearance machine. We play him off half-forward flank. Isaac Rankin is a mercurial player that probably is a pinch-hit midfielder, but we're playing him as our number one. I mean, we are prone, Adelaide, in my opinion, to playing these blokes out of positions and trying to mould players into things that they're not.
I don't disagree with the theory there. I like you chucking out alternatives, because sometimes, the best choices are the ones you don't think of initially. I never thought of Rankin to the wing as a specialist winger being something that I would have gone with, but I don't mind the idea behind it. I just I think there'll be other players. I still think he's someone you want in traffic as much as possible. And
where did Andrew McLeod play his best football off halfback?
Halfback, yeah.
Where'd Simon Goodwin play his best football off halfback? There's a lot to be said for these skillful players. Like look at Wanganeen Miller. Like, they'll play him through the midfield and he'll do well this year at St Kilda. But I wonder whether he will be as effective as he was this year running off halfback.
That's not the worst point you made, Finn. Yeah, there's some, there's. I mean, I never even thought about that as rank as a halfback. Probably because he's such a good forward half player. I mean, he's started as a forward himself, and I know Macra played as a forward at times coming through his juniors. But I mean, it's like saying Eddie Betts could have been off halfback. Like it's one of those things I never really thought of.
Eddie didn't have the speed, but that's why I'm
No.
saying rank him maybe on a wing, because then that it does allow him to get forward and kick those goals. Halfback, because Bungie could kick a goal, but he wasn't an out and out goal kicking freak like Rankin can be. I don't know. To me, I think we've been prone to trying to mould aside from hybrid players, and I think it's been to our detriment. I don't think, if you ever look at Brisbane's side, there's not too many players that have been shoehorned into positions that they maybe weren't, suited for. They're all playing roles and all playing positions that that they're designed for. Whereas we've got and there's a point I was trying to make with Cumming playing on a wing. He's not a fucking wingman. He's a halfback flanker.
I agree with that.
Play him off halfback.
Yeah. Look, I'll say this. This I don't know. I agree with everything you said, Fiend, but I think this would agree with what part of what you said is that, and what we've been talking about is that our three superstars. I think we had three superstars in our list.
Yep.
You could argue that none of them. Well, obviously Thilthorpe isn't, but you could argue the other two aren't either. None of them are actually like superstar midfielders. They're superstar players.
Agreed.
And so, when you think of the other teams and their superstar players, they do have genuine midfielders who excel in the contest and in the stoppage centre, whatever be not. But with us, it's like, most of them do their best work in the forward, the forward 50. And in Dawson's case, it's just everywhere. So that's probably our issue going forward, and that's probably what's held us back. So we need Soligo, Draper. We need one of these guys to really excel in the next couple of years. Obviously, Soligo's got more experience than Draper, but I think we all think Draper's hopefully the one.
You have to hope he's the one because
you're pick 4, but in a great draft. There's a lot of pressure on the kid.
Plenty good mids picked after him, that's for sure.
Well, I know, there's the whole Harvey Langford thing. Look, we'll have to wait and see.
Others after Langford as well. They're very good players picked after him. Look, my fear with Soligo is that he's going to end up being a pick 30 player. Good but not great, and that's all right. There's I've got a lot of time for Jake. I'd like when he's on, he just puts in those repeat efforts. He plays an admirable game. There's a fair bit of Rory Sloane about Jake Soligo in terms of his work rate and his ethic. Hopefully his body is a bit better this year, because I'm sure he was suffering from OP or groin or something last year, but he hasn't run out of season yet, Jake, and he needs to run out of season. And Sid, if we don't consider that Sid was going to be at least an A-grade midfielder, we should never have picked him in the draft.
Correct.
And
absolutely correct.
I couldn't really fathom the way we played him last year. I think he was a victim of the club and the team again, getting distracted by shiny things and all that, and that's fair enough. But they've just got to have him in the rotation every game this season, barring injury or a severe lack of form. And if it's a severe lack of form, then he might not be it.
Not every first gun draftee has a great first year, and just because you don't have a great first year doesn't mean you don't go on to have a great career.
I've got high hopes for him, Sid, but they've got to give him the opportunity. That's what I'm saying. There's no point in us playing him in the twos for 2 years and going, maybe not. We've done that with
I don't think that would be the case.
Well,
yeah, but Sid's a different beast.
They didn't even play him in the midfield in the twos. They played friggin' Lockie Murphy ahead of him in the twos. I mean, so what are we doing?
Jay Boyle.
Gee.
No, he did play mostly midfield in the twos. But
Played a lot
I
forward.
think it was just a taster for him that whole year. Like he was on the back foot with with injury going into it. They really massaged him through preseason, and he mostly just played as a sub either on or off when he played AFL, or he's playing half forward, which is a terrible role to play for most players. So look, he's got some things
Yeah,
he needs to work on in his game, but there's some like stuff he does that not many others can do as well. So I don't think we've got a Chase
yeah.
Jones situation with him. But
Well,
I
would hope.
sorry, Mako.
I just said, well, bloody hope not.
Well, Chase was a good junior as well, but Sid has more tricks than Chase did.
The way I said Sid Draper, he wasn't quite ready for AFL last year, but he got tastes of it,
Yeah,
and what he did, he did have moments in at AFL level where he did something good. So I'm just so glad that they did play him early, and that lets him know where he's got to improve and how much he's got to improve. And I would
I think
say that,
yeah,
and he'll work his ass off this year, and he'll definitely come back better. Whether he's going to be right up to it yet this year, players
yeah.
they improve it at different rates. Sometimes you'll see a player who can actually do it in the first year, but they're rare. And then you get quite a few of them in the second year. But by the third year, which is next year, he should be a star. That's what you would hope. But this year,
Yeah.
we would want him to be we would like him to be a very efficient midfielder this year.
And
Not necessarily a star, but worth his place in the side.
he's still figuring out his game too. Like
Yeah,
he I know he was a high draft pick, but that's because he has some extreme talent. But in terms of his overall game, he wasn't as well rounded as a Jagger Smith, for example, or a Finn O'Sullivan. He's got a few more rough edges, a few kinks in the armor with his kicking and his decision making. And I think he's still figuring out. Like one thing through his juniors, he became really reliant on the 1-2 give. He's a really good first possession player, but his instinct was to get the ball, handball, sprint, get the receive, and then do something with it, rather than just getting the ball and then taking grass and kicking it himself. So he's still trying to. So they want him to kick the ball more, and they want him to use his speed more offensive, like then kick the ball instead of just handballing all the time. So this stuff takes a while to get rid of, and it's probably going to take more than just a one pre-season. But hopefully we see the fruits of that next year without overcoaching him, Finn, because you can overcoach players, and he looked like he was
Yeah.
over. He looked like he
We've
was
seen
down
that.
in confidence. Yeah, I think he was down in confidence by the end of the year too.
he was.
So hopefully, just having the break and the 10 weeks off, whatever not, will help get him back, and he'll be good to go next year.
So the point of the exercise is to identify weaknesses, and I've just highlighted 2 on our best 23, and it probably underpins maybe having a look at Mitch Marsh in the draft this year, because the 2 weaknesses that I see are both our second and third forward in Fogarty and Walker, to be honest.
Well, I wouldn't be against us taking him. I mean, he's certainly got ability. I'd love a midfielder though. I really would love a midfielder and like a bloke that
100%.
really.
But when 100%, but we're not going to get a star midfielder, Mac. So I guess my point is, we've identified that we have 3 gun players and two really promising players in Rochelle and Curtin. Drew's still out on Draper, right?
Fuck Warren, so.
Worrell in defence, yes. So whilst we could always do with more midfielders, if we're not going to get a star midfielder, there's no point in putting another second or third string. We've got Pedler, Berry, Taylor, and Bond sitting on the bench with Charlie Edwards not getting a look in, who are all midfielders. Right, Hugh Bond was a midfielder before he got drafted. So we've got a ton of midfielders, right, at that B grade level. So if we're not going to get an out and out gun like a Dyson Sharp or a Cumming or someone like that, then to my way of thinking, we look at our next deficiency, and our next glaring deficiency to me is Walker dropping off the cliff and Fogarty not living up to his potential. which means that we need a foil for Thilthorpe, and at the moment the best option for that foil is Mitch Marsh.
Look, he's certainly going to be in the calculations. There's no doubt about that thing. Like if I was narrowing it down to 3, he's definitely in that 3.
Yeah, if you had to ask me like right now, which players would be in our mix, and they might be taken before our pick, they might not, but the ones that I think the most realistic would be Marsh, Aiden Schubert as well, who as we haven't talked about, he's another key forward. I have some reservations on him. There's no doubt he had a pretty good year in the champs this year in particular. People say he's the best key forward in this year's draft. I'm not so sure about that. I think that would say a lot about how weak the key forwards would be in this year's draft. He's got some problems in his game he needs to work on. And I don't think he's ever going to be a complete natural AFL like player. He's probably one of those players that if he slid to our pick and we do take him, then you can't be too disappointed because this is a guy that was being talked about as potentially top 10 only a couple months ago. But I think I'd prefer Marsh personally. Threadgold would be one, and Harley Barker obviously we've talked about. It feels like it's probably going to come out of those 4, and realistically, all 4 or maybe 3 of the 4 could be available at our pick. And as for the order, like everyone's going to be different. I think Marsh is the standout, then Harley Barker, and then Threadgold and Schubert.
The other one we haven't talked about as a late pick is Cody Curtin.
Yeah, there was an article today. Did you see that?
Yeah, I read that
today. I didn't see it today.
Oh, they were saying how he wants to come here, but also that they said that we've been, been interviewing him and doing work on him, which doesn't always mean a heap, but maybe he might be someone that we look at the second pick. He won't be there for the first. He won't be our first pick, obviously, but
no.
I'll tell you another name too. For anyone who's watching the draft, you can there's some guys on YouTube that do some really good work to see their clips and stuff. If you want to have a look at his name's Blake Udshawn Benier, who's he's a North Adelaide boy. He came to this year actually projected to go quite a bit higher than he would likely go, but he had some injuries this year and never really got going. But he's just got that look of someone that could be a really good player. He's a smaller type midfielder, again, a bit like a Saligo type, but he does have some pretty good pace, and he's just a really neat, nice player to watch. It's a mouthful, but yeah, Udshawn Benier. It's another hyphenated name. He's someone I'd love to get at pick 48.
Just call him Bob.
Yeah, that's yeah. He's a ripper. So if we can't get a midfielder with our first pick, then he's someone. If he was available at our second pick, I'd snap him up right away because I think he projects to be a midfielder.
There's one player that we haven't spoken about. He's a very small dipping forward called Devaston. Is that his name? Something like that.
Devaston.
Yeah, he looks like a very good player, and he could really take that forward crumbing role and make Leon Rankin and Rochelle to be virtually full-time mids. So
yeah, Mac, he's one of my favourites. But
he's got tons of ability.
Yeah, there's some Rochelle in there. He's not quite as classy as Rochelle, but he's a similar type in that he can work up the ground, but he's really good around goals as well. And yeah, he's nuggety and he's got a bit of shit in him. And I just think he'll go before our pick. If he got to our pick, I think we would look at him. Someone did link us with him, so that we were interested, but it's easy to be interested, but it doesn't mean that we'll get to him.
Yeah, we're probably interested in all that. I'd be surprised that a 178 centimetre player would go first round.
Oh, things have changed now. Small forwards.
I'm interested in him.
Yeah, they go now early.
I've kind of been around, big man. I understand. I've seen drafts before.
Yeah.
So you don't have to explain how it works to me.
I wasn't suggesting you didn't know what you're saying. But
yes, things have changed, but like an untried 178 centimetre small forward, I think is a stretch for first round, to be honest. Be like taking.
He'll go.
Nick Watson.
He will go in that.
We'll pick 5.
Yeah, we'll see.
He's a short ass, Nick Watson.
We'll see.
I mean,
He's-
the Giants have taken it for fun. They took Gothard. I mean, that hasn't worked out, unfortunately, for them yet.
Giants got 936 picks. They can do whatever they want. Anyway, I don't want to argue the point on that. We've gone over 2 hours. So, final thoughts. The only thing that I'd be left in saying is that, like, we're light on for picks this year. This is possibly the last year that we've got before Tasmania start getting involved in the whole thing. Do you think that we've overrated our list and left ourselves a bit short this year? And I know Hamish has come out and said we're probably going to take 2 picks and whatever, but do we really think that our first round picks over the next couple of years are going to be worth a first round pick? Wouldn't we be better off trying to load up this year? And have we made errors in the last couple of drafts?
So do you mean
No,
should have had? Do you mean we should have had more picks this year, or are you talking about we should have traded them? Players?
I think the plan theme was exactly what you just said. I think that was the plan, and the plan was to get aiming at Sharp and what's your name, Adelaide?
Sam Cumming.
I think that was the plan, but then early in the piece that looked like they'd be okay, but then things started changing in draft orders and all that sort of stuff, and it seems that I was all for it, but when you look at what they're likely to be able to get, even if they do bring in the first round draft pick next year, it's probably still not going to get them very far up the ladder, and not to where they want to go, and not to the player they want to get. So, and I think they were thinking down that way, and I think they've probably abandoned it at the moment.
It would have been nice to make use of that. I mean, sorry, Fan, I was just saying that with the RG picks that we didn't have to end up coughing up to get him, it would have been nice to probably use them as a free hit almost to get up the draft order. But I'm sure that one thing you can't fault our club for doing is pick swaps. We're generally one of the clubs to really try and do them each year, and we generally do a really good job of them. So I'm sure they've actually tried pretty hard to do it. They're just, for whatever reason, it hasn't worked out, which we don't know exactly what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I know we've done a fair bit of work in the last few years to get players back in. Isaac and Geordie and Peatley and coming last season. I just wonder whether our strategy has been correct. Like, it's always nice to get those players that want to come to you, but to my way of thinking, unless we've seen, we had a big dip at Petrarca this season. We didn't have a crack at Flanders. He wasn't really on the table for South Australia, although I would have chucked mega bucks at him. We obviously had a big dip at Messiah. But I think we're almost in a position now where this is a squad we're going to have for the next 5 years. There's not going to be a lot of talent available, and I just feel like we missed a trick at maybe just getting one more midfielder in this draft.
Great.
And I would have chucked 2 first rounders at Carlton's pick 9 this year.
Well, that probably wouldn't have been enough to get Sharp or Cumming still in.
No.
If based on what we know, based on what we're hearing, he's going to be gone in the first. They're both going to be gone in the first 8 picks.
Yeah, but there are other midfielders at the top, though. There are other midfielders at the top of the draft, not just South Australian boys.
I'm actually the same. I think Fiend's got a very good point, and I thought exactly the same thing as you, Fiend. That the 1 2 years when if bloody Tasmania in the draft, it's not going to be worth anything. So you might as well give away the next 2.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I still don't think it's going to get us to where we want to get to the right players.
Look, it's quite possible, mate. It's quite possible that you're right.
It's horrible the way that this draft is working out, because what we need and what we want is going to be in a position where, unfortunately, we can't get to. It's just horrible the way it's worked out this year. It's just, normally you would have some of these spread down a little bit down the track, but it's just, and it'd be worth using your futures, but it's just not going to work our way this year. And
Mm.
you're right. We are definitely one short.
The problem is that even if we were to get 9 from Carlton, or to ask for it, they need picks for not just for Dean, but for Jack Ison as well. And they're one of their academy players, and he's going to be apparently bidded on maybe in the first round. So they need points, and we don't actually have the picks to offer points this year because we don't have a second round pick. So it's a bit of an awkward one where we can't really offer them points for their academy players, even though we could offer them a better pick for next year to help with, a potential Cody Walker bid. So I'm sure we try to work something out there, but we probably just didn't have what they needed. The one player that I'm surprised is apparently is slipping. If you look at what journalists are saying, is Sam Grill. So he's an Oakley Chargers boy, and he's super quick, and he plays predominantly midfield. He played halfback for Vic Metro, but his midfield stuff is pretty good, and he's one that I think that would probably be at that Carlton pick that I'd love to get. And I don't know why he would actually be there in the first place, because I think he's an absolute ripper. So if you're another one, if you're in the chat, Sam Grill, look up his draft stuff, because he's fantastic to watch and probably exactly what we need. But sadly, doesn't seem like we're going to have the pick for him. But I can't believe he's potentially in the mix to fall to the Hawks or even the Giants, which is just crazy to me, because I would have him in the top 5.
Yeah. All right. Well, that pretty much wraps us up, I think. I think we've done that to death. Obviously, now, when's round 1 of the draft is on Monday night?
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Wednesday night, Thursday night. They're the 2 nights.
Round 2 on Thursday night.
And then the preseason rookie drafts on the Friday.
And
yeah.
One player we didn't mention is our father's son, Mitch Stevens. Do we actually take him or let him slide to the rookie list or whatever?
Well, we haven't nominated him or anything like that, so you'd have to say he's up against it. Maybe he's someone we might look up as a train-on player. I'm not sure, but it doesn't look like we're going to take him, which is a shame, because he trained with us in the preseason for a week or so, and you want to take father sons when you can get them, but he's quick, but he doesn't have a whole lot to his game other than just being a pretty decent halfback flanker, which we already have quite a few of, and I don't think he's going to push them out anytime soon. So it looks like he might just be one that might go to another club if they want him, or might just see how he goes next year. But it doesn't look like we're going to take him, Macca.
And the other one that might be a bit of a surprise for us for the year is Indy Cotton, who was the bloke that we've got as a category.
Category B.
Rookie draft and rookie B. Yeah. Look, they reckon he's got a heap of natural talent, so you never know. He might be a surprise during the year.
No, I love those picks. The more, the better. They don't cost anything, and if they've played a fair chunk of junior football, then they've got that sort of under their belt already. Yeah, which he did. A bit like Hugh Greenwood did, but the difference is that we got Hugh at like 22, 23, whereas this kid's only 18, 19. So it's pretty exciting that he chose us, because from all reports, a lot of clubs were coming for him. And so it was nice to actually win one of these. Yeah, it's nice to win one of these sort of battles for once.
195 centimetres too, and mobile.
Yep. No, it's exciting, but at the same stage, he's been playing basketball the last few years without touching a footy, basically. So you can't expect too much next year. But no, I agree. He's one that will go under the radar, but I think we would be surprised how quickly he might come on.
Very good. Well, thank you everyone on Discord and on YouTube for joining us tonight. I know it was late notice. I only posted about it today. But for those watching live, thanks for joining us. We'll probably have one more at the end of draft week, gentlemen, just to wrap everything up. It won't be a 2-hour one, 2-hour 21, but just a nice little wrap up to wrap up the season. But until then, Macca and Big Man, thanks for joining us once again.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Fee. Nice. Glad we kept it to 15 minutes.
Yeah, god damn it. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go and have a sedative and try and reset my alarm clock.
Good on
All
your
right, boys.
feet.
All right, everyone. Have
Thanks.
a good week, and we'll be back next week to wrap up the season. Cheers.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Good night, all, and I hope we're happy after the draft. See ya.